Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. This is for the week of November 24th, 2022. Getting into it, the current character challenge is for Blackest Night Hawkgirl, and that is a 1-week repeat. The required characters for that are Batman, Joker, and Nightwing, who, if you're looking at the lowest tier you can get them each at, are gold, silver, and bronze. So, healthy mix. I think if you're sort of at a midpoint in the game, you've got a couple of gold characters under your belt, you might be able to complete this.
Right.
Not the best for new players, but also not the worst.
Right.
And her passive is Necrotic Life Force, which is Hawkgirl receives 15% health back when anyone in the battle is knocked out, and any Blackest Night character who is knocked out on Hawkgirl's team will resurrect once with 20% health. She's got 1,240 attack and 1,360 health. So one of those kind of weird numbers where they round it.
Yeah. Or they don't.
They don't round it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was last available on the 27th of January, 2022.
All right, so she's got high, and as you mentioned, weird stats. And going along with our recent sort of trend in how we do our videos for the recap is what you're going to be watching is footage of our latest version of the Blackest Night team with her on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's interesting. She's part of what makes Blackest Night Flash so annoying by giving him a free resurrection, and his passive of when he resurrects getting 100% health leverages her passive.
Yeah.
Right? So having her on the team with Blackest Night Flash is like having a second Blackest Night Flash free.
Yeah.
And that's not including whatever else she brings to the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to that end, I mean, I've only ever really played Hawkgirl as a support character, and she, as a character, she's not particularly good with her basic attacks or her specials. In my mind, that makes it really easy to gear her as a tank, and so any kind of team deadweight is easy because the gears make it really easy, and let her teammates do all the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm. It also means that this is one of the characters where it's potentially even valuable to have her worse than her teammates, where even if you only have like one or two elite levels, it doesn't matter the same way, because she's smuggling in a full extra character sort of under her belt when you play with Blackest Night Flash anyways. Right. So it doesn't matter if she's not actually that great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're going to be playing a Blackest Night team, I think she's really important part. She's giving you 3 free resurrections that don't require any gear slots.
Yeah. And
then when you've got Flash, for example, her value gets magnified by whoever she's resurrecting.
Mm-hmm.
And
wait, does she count for herself for the resurrect?
Yeah, she gets resurrection.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
for sure. So the best feature of the Blackest Night team is Blackest Night Flash. The Blackest Night Flash, his passive is mostly defensive. You can have, I mean, it's really sort of like an indirect offensive benefit when you pause the other team. We're talking way more about Flash than we are about Hawkgirl, which is sort of really reflects her value is in what she brings to the teammates, right?
Yeah, she's a part of a whole. Her team is greater than the sum of its parts, and her by herself is not so great.
Yeah. So the loadout that I've been playing with lately that you're seeing in the video is that the specialist has the Claw of Horus, not just Blackest Night team, but in general. It's fun, and it saves a bit of time when you're facing Astro Harness. And I think there's probably other options. And when I say that, like specialist underlying assumption is Tantu Totem Master's Escort. That's your basic starting point.
And then the third is sort of your flex spot for gear.
Yeah. And so we're giving up some damage potential to have the Claw instead of something else that might boost the special 2, which is usually what you do with your specialist, right? Is lean on special 2.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's not even the most efficient, because what you're getting in being able to shatter Astro Harness and avoid a couple of resurrections potentially, you're giving up the damage output. So it's probably not necessarily the fastest, but man, it is fun when you see that animation right at the beginning of your special as you tag in and you see all those gears shattering.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we are 131 weeks into a repeating pattern that first appeared in May of 2020. That's 3 complete runs of a 43-week long cycle, and it's 2 weeks of the 4th cycle. If the pattern holds, next week we should see Red Lantern, Hal, Jordan. And just a reminder, 23 challenge characters remain missing from this current set.
Right, because magic number 66, there's actually 66 challenge characters that we've had.
Yeah.
And only a 43-week cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This week's multiplayer reward is the Batmobile, which becomes the militarized Batmobile. It gives you, when it's maxed out, 25% max health increase, a Batman-specific ability of 20% super move damage increase, a Batman-specific ability of a 100% area effect. Opponent's team takes 25% damage from your super move, and, if you're noticing a pattern, a Batman-specific ability, which is a 100% chance of 5 seconds invulnerability after your super move is activated. Yeah. It was last available on the 21st of April 2022. We are 99 weeks in a row of a consistent pattern. That's 3 complete cycles of a 31 reward sequence and 6 weeks into a 4th cycle. And unlike the challenge cycle, nothing is missing from this multiplayer rewards. Next week should be Blackest Night Doomsday.
Yeah. So here's the problems with this. I'm doing air quotes right now that you can't see. Legendary gear.
Yeah, because it's the worst out of the legendary gears.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to call it it has the rank basically because of how you get it, which is through multiplayer rewards. It's also legendary based on the number of stars. But, I mean, look, it's got only one ability that isn't for actually, even worse, it's got 2 abilities only to start with.
Yeah.
So it gets 2 evolved abilities, but there's only one ability out of all those 4 that's not for Batman. So you could argue, I guess, because there's so many Batman skins that, it's not nearly as bad as it could be. But, I mean, even those abilities, right? The health boost is 25% max health. Lots of other gears give more, right? You get 40% from Brandish and Jado, from Batman's helmet, from the 4th World chest plate.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 effects for Batman, they are all tied into the super move. And that very rarely comes into play for a non-Red Sun Green Lantern character.
Yeah.
The time it takes you to get to super move, and the fact that you don't get your power back with Tanty Totem on super move, means that it is not... I mean, this is what makes Flashpoint Deathstroke and any of the Batgirls so good, because their special 1 is super deadly, 1 bar of power. If it knocks the opponent, you get it right back. And it doesn't take long to get to 1 bar of power, even if you don't have gear that just gets you right there immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it, the effects, they aren't even that great. 20% damage increase, 25% splash damage, and only 5 seconds invulnerability, which is shorter than the Astro Harness invulnerability. That's not... There's no difference. It's not a difference maker.
Yeah.
It's pretty crap.
It's something that you don't do a lot. And the benefits aren't even that game-changing. Oh. If it was applied to all specials, it would be a different story, but it's not.
And I think when this gear was first released, the super move was actually useful because there was some value in hoarding 3 bars of power because it's unblockable. And then they changed the mechanic, right? So that there was... you could reduce the damage. I mean, they didn't call it blocking it, but you could reduce the damage by up to 49%. So half the damage. So a defended super would do less damage than an unblocked special 2 and a special 2 takes less power. Mm-hmm. And you could potentially get it back with Tanty Totem.
And so if the listener's following along at home, when multiplayer was introduced, which is when you were able to get this.
When we were young.
But once you started being able to get this gear was when it stopped being useful.
Yeah.
So it was very bad timing for it. There was never really a time where you could both get this gear and want to use it, right?
Yeah.
Didn't it start out as a multiplayer reward?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
So there's never a good time for it.
So actually, the other thing is, too, that I almost forgot to say, that because it's a super, crit damage doesn't apply. Special 2, crit damage does. Yeah. So a special 2 that crits will do more damage than a super that is completely undefended.
Yeah. So there we go. Terrible in every way.
Yeah. I mean, if you could... I've said this before. If you could do this, have the gear effects without a slot, it might be useful.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't even think of any gears that I would rather have on my card instead of this. Out of all the different choices. I can think of lots of, 1.5 and 2.5 star gears that would potentially be more useful.
Yeah, on most people. Even Batman.
Yeah.
So there we go. In the store, we have the character bundle Arkham Allies. That's for $24.99. All these prices are going to be in Canadian because that's where we're from, so that's where we can check.
Yeah. It's been that price for years. You have to go back to 2020 when it was like $26.99.
Yeah.
Weird.
So, and that comes with Arkham Knight Batman and Arkham Knight Catwoman. You get the Dawn of Justice gear for the Batman, which is normally harder to get. And so this one's interesting, right? Because normally these don't unlock when you pay for them.
Right.
But this one does actually.
And it unlock in a weird way, not directly in your store though.
Yeah.
It unlocks the ability or the chance to get Arkham Knight Batman as a Phantom Zone reward.
Mm-hmm. And an Nth Metal Pack reward.
Right, yeah.
So this is kind of like the closest thing to earning an unlock, because you just don't unlock Arkham Knight Batman in the store ever.
Right.
So this is, if you don't have any and you want him, this is one of the only times where I would say it might be worth it to buy it, depending on how you feel about it.
Right.
You know, it's still never a great purchase in my opinion, just because of how much it is.
Right.
But it's easier to make an argument for this than almost any other pack.
Right.
Which isn't saying a lot, but it is saying something.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the Red Lantern Challenge Pack for 200,000 credits. That gives you a 6.16% chance instead of the 2.86% chance of getting Red Lantern. It's not worth the extra 50,000 credits. We sort of did the math, and the only way that it's better is if you want only Red Lantern, Hal Jordan specifically, and then like one or two other gold characters. If there's more than like two people in the challenge pack that you would keep and not sell back, then there's no value in buying the challenge pack over the normal one. Right. We also have the Icebreaker pack, which has been around. It's in its second week now.
Yeah.
So we won't get into that. You can check last week. And then other things that have been around for a while at this point. The Survivor pack is in its 46th week. The Character Bundle Batman Universe pack is in its 51st week. The Most Wanted pack is in its 58th week. And those Nth Metal celebration packs for Aquaman, Shazam, and the Joker have been around for 43 weeks for Shazam and the Joker and 45 weeks for Aquaman, because he had those 2 weeks celebrating all in his lonesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said last time, we're going to stop talking about Survivor rewards. You can see what's on yours. It's just, we've got 3 accounts now we're working on. They're all different. They're all out of sync.
Yeah.
And it has more to do with your account than it has to do with what's actually on the server. Other points. Phantom Zone is back for 2 weeks, and it's double XP for the next 4 days, so through this weekend, and I believe that would be for American Thanksgiving.
Sure seems like it.
Yeah. Fight 62 still broken. Last weekend's breakthrough for golds was, as expected, Joker, Nightwing, and Darkseid, and that means this coming weekend is probably going to be Zod, Aquaman, and Shazam. Mm-hmm. Link in the description to a Reddit thread from Devlin16 that goes over the complete breakthrough cycle.
Mm-hmm. And because this isn't the first week of the month, you can go back to the 3rd of November 2022 video if you want to go through our complete glitch run through.
Right.
We're not going to do that now. The important thing is that the Phantom Zone and Challenge Reset glitch are both working with the current challenge, and it's not the current Phantom Zone because it's always the same one, but the Phantom Zone while it's up.
Right.
Yeah.
And I should point out, again, for people who haven't been following us long enough, is that if something new happens with the glitches, we will be posting on it and not waiting till the first week of each month. Mm-hmm. But there hasn't been for a while, so that's our sort of default position for when we do another check-in and do a quick recap of the things that might be important as an overview. And
if you're looking for the best way to do the glitches, the best way is always to check our glitches playlist that you can reach by clicking the eye in the top right corner of this video or going onto our playlist tab and finding that yourself. Mm-hmm. So there we go. To finish up, we'd like to give a huge thank you to all the folks who support us on Patreon. That is BomboBen, Consul Peasant, and Edwoon at the top tier Last Word, Sinemac and Mohammed Albshaiti at the Your Message Here tier, Shawn Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Maule, Michael DeVries, Brandon C., Irvin Ruiz, Eddydoo, and Hoshi127, who are supporting us on the credited level, and Chris Wolff, Scarlet, Dani, Awesomegamer 241, Pavu RS, Gavin, Mallott, and Isfar E at the gratitude level. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks so much all of you for watching. We'll see you next time. Komoda.